Deadline day is right around the corner, and although things seem to have slowed down a little bit for Chelsea, it doesn't seem like they'll be doing nothing at all. In this video, I'm going to run through what's been going on with Chelsea so far this season, what they really need, and where they're likely to end up by the end of deadline day. First up, we have to start with Chelsea's weird and puzzling performances that they've had so far this season. Now, very quickly pull up their results, but they've not been very good so far. They managed to beat Luton. That was fair enough. That's a match that you should really be winning, though. Aside from that, they have a draw and a loss. Drawing against Liverpool, which is fine, I suppose, but losing 3-1 to West Ham. West Ham are admittedly looking quite good this season, but West Ham were down to 10 men, and you should really be doing a hell of a lot better than that if you invest nearly £1 billion in your football club over the course of about 12 months. Now, one of the first questions that you really have to ask about Chelsea is what's going on with that midfield? It's quite a weird one. They've done a lot of recruitment there over like the past. When did they get Fernandes again? It was January, so it was like the past 7 months. They've got in Romeo Lavia, they've got Moises Caicedo in, and they've got Enzo Fernandez. They're all very good midfielders, sort of defensive in nature, but also good at progressing the ball. Lavia is injured, so that explains some of the issue, but the only match where they've actually controlled the midfield was against Luton. Against Liverpool, it was very box-to-box, end-to-end, because neither team had a midfield that was worth its salt. Against West Ham, they completely lost control and got, frankly, battered. And they need to do a little bit more in midfield, in my opinion. I can see why they wouldn't, because they've spent something like Sorry, there was a fly. Something like £300 million in those positions in no time at all. And that's all part of the issue that Chelsea have next, and that is their past recruitment. Their past recruitment has not been very good. This is specifically before Todd Boehly, but it does include Todd Boehly's time. For example, Romelu Lukaku cost £100 million-ish, maybe euros, I can't quite remember, with Mikhailo Mudryk not being that much cheaper, and neither of them had any real impact on the club since they've come back. Now, recruitment in the moment is fine, and recruitment afterwards isn't too bad, especially if the player hasn't been very good, but it's about shifting the player on or getting them to develop or doing something with them rather than just letting them sit. Now, they managed to get rid of Lukaku to AS Roma, but they've got so much in terms of wages tied up in the likes of Mudryk or Cucurella, for example, who just has not performed. Behind Ben Chilwell, you've got someone that no one really trusts at Chelsea, and that's a big problem. And it also limits the amount that they can spend now because they've got less to spend on wages, less to spend on transfers. It's not ideal. Something else that Chelsea have really missed is an attacking edge. They beat Luton 3-0. That's all well and good, but I'm going to take a look at the scorers now. And there were 2 goals for Raheem Sterling, who were mostly sort of personal efforts where he personally pushed through, and a goal for Nico Jackson. Now, that's fine enough, but then again, it is Luton, who were relatively lucky to get promoted last season and have not really strengthened. You really need a little bit more than that, and I know Christopher Nkunku is injured and he will do quite a lot when he comes in, but they might need someone that can attack across the entire front line. So, ultimately, what do Chelsea need in the window? First of all, they really need to sort of deal with the dead wood, and I'm just going to slightly adjust that banner, and they need to get rid of Cucurella maybe, because no one really trusts him there. It's been 12 months and he's not settled in the slightest. Everyone thought that after 4 or 5 matches, maybe he'll find his pace, and he didn't. And I don't really think he suits the style that Pochettino is looking for. I don't think Cucurella is the one. I think it could be worth calling him very specifically a backup and working on recruiting someone next window, or just straight up getting someone now to make the change. It sort of needs to happen. There also needs to be a forward that does the entire front line. I mentioned this a minute ago. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head who is actively available to Chelsea at the moment. Brennan Johnson would maybe be an example, but he looks at a move to Tottenham. They need to find someone to do that because at the moment depth is not good. If you're turning to Mikhailo Mudryk in a match where you need a goal, you're probably not going to get it. Aside from that, something that the Chelsea side have needed since they got the new owners, since Todd Boehly moved in, is time to gel. They've not had any time to just sit and settle and build something up. They've been rapidly like, there's a problem, let's immediately fix it, except the fix is a problem itself, and they just need to take some time, a little bit of patience from the fans and the players and the ownership all alike, and eventually under Mauricio Pochettino, they'll build into something a little bit better tactically. Where do Chelsea end up? It depends on how they finish the window. Ideally, another midfielder could add some depth and mean that they're not turning to Conor Gallagher all the time. A decent attacker could offer some solid play on the wings. I mean, someone like Taki Kubo, for example. Part of my job is to watch La Liga matches, and Kubo is insane, and it surprises me that no one got him. It's the same with Isco. Premier League clubs sort of overlook these players. I don't really know why. But Chelsea sort of need an attacker to do the entire front line because although there's a lot of players there, there's not much depth. Madueke is good. Mudryk is not. And as you get throughout the season, you're going to get more and more injuries. And I know that Chelsea don't have Europe to contend with, but it's something that really needs to be solved. Ultimately, what does their deadline day look like? I think busy, because they've got quite a lot to do. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed the video. Like if you've enjoyed, subscribe if you want, and I will see you later. Ta-ra.